The first night it happened, I thought the silence was normal. Most people don't notice silence until it changes. During the day, there's always something filling the space. Voices, traffic, wind, electronics. At night, those things slowly disappear, one by one, until you're left with something heavier. I was alone in the apartment that night. My roommate had gone out of town unexpectedly, leaving me with a short text and a promise to be back in the morning. The building itself was old, the kind where the walls remembered every sound ever made inside them. Pipes knocked like tired bones, and the floors creaked even when no one walked on them. I locked the door, checked it twice, then sat on the couch scrolling through my phone, letting the screen glow chase away the dark corners of the room. Around 12:30 a.m., my phone battery dropped to 5%. I plugged it in and placed it face down on the table, telling myself I'd sleep soon. That's when I noticed the quiet. The refrigerator wasn't humming anymore. The air conditioner was off. Even the distant traffic noise from the main road had vanished. It felt like the world had been muted. I stood up slowly, listening. My own breathing sounded too loud, like I was intruding on something. Then, from the hallway outside my apartment, I heard a door open. I froze. Someone walking down the hall would have been normal, but there were no footsteps. Just the soft click of a door latch, followed by nothing. I walked to my own door and pressed my ear against it. The hallway light should have been visible under the gap at the bottom. There was no light. The hallway lights were off. That had never happened before. I stepped back, heart beating faster, and that's when I heard the scratching. It wasn't loud. It wasn't frantic. It was slow, careful. Something was scratching on the other side of my door, right where my handle was. I backed away until my shoulders hit the wall. The scratching stopped. A second passed. Then the handle turned. It didn't shake violently. It didn't rattle. It turned gently, like whoever was doing it expected the door to open. It didn't. The handle stopped moving. I waited for footsteps to retreat. They never came. Instead, something leaned against the door. I could hear the faint sound of breathing through the wood. Too close. Too quiet. My phone buzzed on the table, lighting up the room. A message preview appeared on the screen. Why won't you open it? My blood went cold. I didn't reply. The breathing stopped. Then came a soft knock.
1, 2,
3.
perfectly spaced.
I stayed awake until morning, sitting on the floor with my back against the bedroom door, every light on, listening to nothing at all. When the sun rose, the hallway lights were back on. There was no sign anyone had been there. He worked as a night cleaner in an office building downtown. The place emptied out completely after 9 p.m., leaving only security cameras and motion-activated lights behind. He liked working alone. Less talking. Less noise. Until the night the lights started following him. He was on the 7th floor, mopping near the elevators, when the lights behind him shut off. At first, he thought it was just the system saving power. He took a few steps forward. The lights turned on again. Behind him. He turned around. The hallway behind him was brightly lit. The space in front of him was dark. He stepped forward again. The lights behind him shut off. The ones ahead flickered on. No matter where he moved, the lights stayed just out of reach, illuminating where he had been, not where he was going. He laughed nervously, telling himself it was faulty wiring. Then he heard footsteps. They matched his pace exactly. When he stopped, they stopped. When he moved, they followed. He spun around, mop held like a weapon. The hallway behind him was empty. But on the polished floor, reflected in the light, he saw something standing directly behind him.
Tall. Still.
He didn't turn around. He ran. He didn't use the elevator. He took the stairs, heart pounding, footsteps echoing too loudly in the stairwell. Halfway down, he felt something brush past his shoulder. Cold.
Wrong.
When he reached the ground floor, the glass doors slid open automatically. Outside, the street was empty. Too empty. No cars. No lights. No sound. Behind him, the office building lights all shut off at once. Every floor. Every hallway. Total darkness. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. All he heard was his own breathing. From inside the building.
He quit the next day.
The building was demolished 6 months later. During the demolition, workers found deep footprints embedded in the concrete stairwell walls. They didn't match any human shoe. I had moved into a small house on the edge of town, cheap rent, quiet area. The kind of place where the nights stretch long and empty. The first few weeks were fine. Then the knocking started. Every night, exactly at 2:11 a.m. 3 knocks on the back door. I checked the security camera. Nothing. I checked outside in the morning. No footprints. No marks. I told myself it was animals. Until one night, the knocks came from inside the house. 3 knocks. From my bedroom closet. I sat up in bed, staring at the door. "Hello," I whispered. 3 knocks again. Closer this time. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and opened the closet. It was empty, but the back wall was warm, as if someone had been standing there. That night, I slept with the closet light on. The next night, the knocking came from the bathroom door. The next night, from the bedroom wall. Always 3 knocks. Always at 2:11 a.m. On the 7th night, my phone buzzed at 2:10. A message from an unknown contact. "You shouldn't pretend you're alone." The knocking didn't come that night. Instead, I heard breathing beside my bed. Slow, patient, waiting for me to turn my head. I never did. I moved out the next day. The new tenant lasted 1 week. They told the landlord the house felt crowded at night, like something was standing too close. After I left the house, I tried to convince myself that distance would fix everything. New walls, new streets, new sounds. I moved into a smaller apartment closer to the city, where traffic never truly stopped and lights bled through the curtains all night. I told myself that places like that didn't have room for silence to grow teeth. The first night there, I slept with the television on low volume, the kind of background noise meant to keep thoughts from forming. I woke up several times, heart racing, but nothing happened. On the 3rd night, I started to relax. That was my mistake. At 2:11 a.m., the TV muted itself. Not turned off. Muted. I stared at the screen, my reflection faint and distorted, and waited for the sound to come back. It didn't. Instead, I heard movement in the kitchen. A slow shuffle. Barely audible. I lay still, listening, counting my breaths like someone trying to survive underwater. The apartment was small. Any movement echoed, even careful ones. Something bumped gently against the counter. Then a drawer slid open. Just a few inches. Then stopped. I reached for my phone. The screen lit up immediately. Too bright in the dark. No service. The signal icon was gone. That made no sense. I was in the middle of the city. I sat up slowly, eyes fixed on the bedroom doorway. The hall light was off, leaving the doorway filled with thick darkness that didn't look natural, like it had weight. "Hello," I whispered. The word felt wrong as soon as it left my mouth. The darkness shifted. Not moved. Shifted. Like something adjusting its posture. The drawer in the kitchen slid closed. Then came the sound of footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Stopping just outside my bedroom. I pulled the blanket up to my chin, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. A shadow stretched across the floor, long and thin, blocking the faint light from the street. It stood there, breathing. I waited for the door to open. It didn't. Instead, something pressed lightly against it, as if testing the wood, learning its shape. My phone vibrated in my hand. One notification. "You keep moving. That won't help." I shut my eyes and didn't open them until morning. When I did, the apartment was normal again. The drawer was closed. The TV volume was back on. My phone had full signal, but the message was still there. After that night, the world felt thinner, like something had peeled back a layer I didn't know existed. I started noticing things other people ignored. The way reflections lingered too long in dark windows. The way footsteps sometimes echoed when no one was behind me. The way empty rooms never quite felt empty anymore. One evening, I stayed late at work. The office floor emptied out around me, Coworkers leaving one by one until the overhead lights shut off automatically, leaving only emergency lighting. I was alone, or so I thought. As I packed my bag, I heard typing.
Soft.
As I packed my bag, I heard typing.
Soft. Steady.
Coming from the cubicle behind mine. I stood up slowly and peeked over the divider. The chair was empty. The monitor was off. But the keyboard was moving, keys pressing themselves down in careful sequences. I stepped closer. On the screen, words appeared. You're quieter when you're afraid. I left my bag behind and ran.